I'm honored to be on this platform today, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to be part of this prestigious platform. So I just want to talk about the theme of today, right, which is equinox, creating balance. Everyone has talked about it, and naturally I will try to make sure that I am talking about that balance in my talk today. So before I tell you the context, I will tell you how my journey has been since yesterday. So when I arrived yesterday here, there was a guy who was showing us around this university, and he asked me, "Sir, have you studied from Harvard?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "How to get into Harvard?" And I said, "Probably I will talk about it tomorrow in my talk. So you will hear about it also." In the morning, I was talking to Mr. Dharamveer, who is a fellow speaker here, and we were talking about how to be successful in life. And that's a question you all are wondering right now sitting here, right? And a lot of people ask me today, "Sir, how I can be successful? What I should do after CS? What should I do with IT?" So probably I will talk about that also. In the morning when we were coming here in the car, Ekta, another fellow speaker, talked about luck attacks surface. Now this is a very fancy word, but idea is that when you are a student, you are thinking that boss, शायद मेरे लिए कुछ luck काम कर जाएगा, क्या मैं lucky हूँ, right? But my talk will talk about how to increase your luck, right? How to increase the luck attack surface overall. So this is the topic today, right? About solving all these puzzles you guys have, and I will try to make sure that while I'm going back from here today, I want to give you a gift, a framework which works for all, worked for me, and I think it should, if you apply properly with your whole heart, it will work for all of you, okay? So how I got this framework, right? Let's talk about it. I will, first of all, try, because in my introduction, there was a lot of talks about technology, cybersecurity, maintaining, basically leading a lot of businesses with multi-million-dollar businesses, right? I happened to basically be a co-founder for a startup also. And I will start my talk with a startup, right? So when startup started, it was all like we are, right? We are not well managed. There is no balance as a student. So startup started with an idea, and there were a lot of rookies who started with the idea, and there was a huge failure rate to start with. But slowly and gradually, because it was pioneered in US, there is a framework to a startup now, right? Every founder comes with a framework of success when it comes to startup. You all must be watching Shark Tank. You must be watching, a lot of VCs, seeing the pitches. The pitches are almost similar, right? And I will talk what are similarities in that. Now, I want all of you to think that each one of you, including me, is a startup, okay? And then when you feel that you are a startup, and then it will start making sense what I will talk about today, okay? So whenever I am talking something, think that you are a startup. You have to basically create a framework for yourself, for your life, and then it will start making sense for all of you, okay? So startup generally, now the framework of startups, right, generally starts with the problem-solving idea. And today a lot of people, a guy came to me and says, "Boss, I want to build something great. I want to be a Steve Jobs. Guide me." Okay, again, a question. I said, "Just listen to my podcast." There was another guy sitting here. He went to Tanu ma'am, and asked, "I want to become an IAS officer. And because my parents are telling me to become an IAS officer." And she told, "Don't go and listen to your parents. Look at your own story. Then decide what you want to do." Again, I will talk about it. So too many examples now. Let's come to the context and the real meat of things, right? So I'll start with the story. So I did my engineering, I did my MBA, walked to a corporate life, like you guys, right? A normal, simple engineer, became an architect by working very hard for 8 years. And I was in IBM. My salary was a bit less, so I thought I should do a change right now and increase my salary like anyone normal guy will think of. So I walked in a room. I went for an interview with American Express. And I went through 4 rounds, technical rounds, and I cleared all of them. And here I was for the last round of interview. And when I entered this room, I met a senior VP in American Express called Brian Barnes. He was a US citizen, staying as an expat in India, and he was about to interview me. He made me very comfortable. And I thought, okay, now the turn is about management questions. So I was ready with my pitch, right? What kind of management questions he will ask. And as soon as he started talking, he asked me one question. And the question was, who is Amit? And I was like, ये कैसा question है यार? मतलब, who is Amit? So I thought, okay, let me do my pitch, right? I was vulnerable, like right now I am a bit right, jittery. So मैंने अपना pitch start किया. Sir, I have these many years of experience. I know this technology. I know Java. I know Python. I know this, that. I'm very good. I am very adaptable and whatnot. And he kept listening to me and said, you have already done 3-4 rounds of technical interviews, Amit. My team knows this already. I want to know who is Amit. Okay, I thought ये शायद मेरी personal life के बारे में जानना चाहते हैं. So I started telling them what my parents are from very humble background. My dad is from working in a bank. My mom is a housewife. I recently got married and whatnot. And then he looked at me again. Good information, but you still didn't answer me. Who is Amit? Oh God, now मैं थोड़ा परेशान हो गया. मैंने कहा यार अब तो नहीं हो पा रहा ये. और then मैंने कहा चलो थोड़ा smart बनता हूँ मैं. तो मैंने कहा boss, I want to become a leader. This is Amit. So मैंने कहा अच्छा leader. What is a leader? So then he started a lot of questions. At the end of the day, what he wanted to hear, and he told at the end of the interview that what is the purpose of life? What is the meaning of my life? Why I am on this earth and what I want to do? What are my cultural values, right? What are the things I believe in? This is what he wanted to hear. He didn't want to hear technical stuff. But let me tell you one thing that I never thought of these kind of questions in my life. How many people have thought about this question? Can you raise your hands, please? I see only 2-3% of the people, right? Or 4%. Okay, good. So 95% of the people were like me till I had 7 to 8 years of experience. तो भाई मैंने सोचा कि ये question तो बहुत important है. अब इस पे तो काम करना पड़ेगा. So I came back. Naturally, I got selected for the interview because 95% of the people were like me and I was talented technically. So he didn't want to let go of me. So I got selected there, but I learned this thing that I need to find purpose of my life now, right? Why I'm born and what I want to do in my life. The second thing came that how to do that now, right? Okay, I found my purpose, how to reach to that purpose, how to basically get to that purpose, how part of it. Again, Brian once helped me. I asked this question from him and he told me, boss, you need to focus on the self-leadership, right? What is self-leadership? I said, boss, I have never led a team. He said, before leading others, you need to lead yourself, right? You can't lead others until and unless you are leading yourself. So these two concepts came into my life, right? One was finding your purpose and second was self-leadership. And I want all of you to take a note of this because if you guys are able to take care of these two aspects of life and write it down in a book, 50% of the puzzle is solved for you. You will be very clear in what you want to do. There are a lot of clouds in front of you right now, but these are the two guiding lights, North Star for you, right? And you should all know it, right? Because you are the startup of your own life, right? Like in a startup, you need to create a vision. There's a marketing strategy. You do a lot of market research. And then you create a vision, you create values for the organization, and then you create an execution plan. Similarly, as a person, you need to know your vision, which is your purpose of life, self-leadership principle, which is how you will do it, right? Your goals. So there are some parts of purpose of life, right? So I'll go a bit deep now to tell you कि exactly करना क्या है, right? सबसे पहले तो get meaning of your life, right? A broader term, a lot of people have talked about it. Tanu ma'am talked about it. सुविधरमवीर सर ने बोला कुछ इस बारे में. तो and there is a lot of YouTube videos to find meaning of life. The second is basically when you find a purpose of life, the motivation in you gets increased. If you know exactly, boss, I want to become a Steve Jobs, I want to do something of that sort, I want to take mankind on Mars, that kind of a goal also. You daily when you wake up, you have some vision in life, right? So it increases the motivation in you. The self-esteem also increases, right? Automatically. So these are some benefits. Your physical health also increases because you have a purpose, then you will take care of yourself and, things will follow after that. So purpose of life is very important. First step, first concept. Second, see self-leadership, what it means for you. Self-leadership is about knowing yourself, getting aware of yourself first of all. Then you will know your strengths and weaknesses, right? You can talk to people around you, your friends, ask openly, set your ego aside, like ma'am was telling, darkness mein thoda sa brightness dalo. So those kind of things you have to do and focus on your strength and weaknesses and note it down. Set clear goals, because when there is a purpose of life, you need to break down into 5, 6, 7, 8 goals. Clearly write those goals, right? And then do time management of things, because there's too much distraction in life today, too much social media, right? And it's kind of gets overwhelmed today. Then there are other things like practicing mindfulness, and you need to lead by example. So a lot of discipline and boring stuff, right? But then you need to do it if you want to be successful in life. There is no other way, right? Success comes in a very boring way by repeating things, But so I did all this, frankly, and it was quite boring. And now I started living a life where I was basically fully financially stable. Whatever I dreamt of, I started getting it automatically. I have my teams in 21 countries. I lead hundreds of people, handle huge amount of businesses, but I felt that I'm not happy. Right? So it's quite boring, like the last 5 minutes of my speech. And I can't help it because that's the truth of life, right? So now the question was, I'm not happy, what I should do, what is the meaning of my life again. And then 3 to 4 years back, I took a break, a sabbatical, went to Harvard Business School and studied there. And there were a lot of colleagues of mine who were peers, who were CXOs, CEOs of the companies, entrepreneurs. And I started asking these questions, which I was feeling, but I am not very happy in my life, right? There is something missing. Everyone was feeling the same. You won't believe. 50% of the peers I asked this question were feeling the same. And at that level, people are generally authentic and true, and they generally share openly, right? They don't hide things. 50% of the CXOs were feeling the same, that they're not happy inside. And then I started finding what is the formula to be happy now? And a lot of my peer friends have talked about happiness. Tanu ma'am specifically talked about it philosophically, okay? So I digged into philosophical side of it, and there are multiple dimensions to be happy. And then I digged into one thing called chemistry, a totally different field. And you might be knowing that, there is a chemical locha in your mind which makes you happy generally, right? So there are 4 kinds of chemicals, and everyone knows about it. Most of the people. How many people know about 4 happiness chemicals? No one? Okay. 10%, 20%? Okay. So there are 4 happiness chemicals. It's a big chemical locha. And if you guys know exactly which chemical to trigger, you will know what kind of happiness you are getting. So the first chemical is dopamine. Dopamine is nothing but you get it through, when you are drinking coffee or drinks, right? It's short-lived, but you are dependent on that thing. Second is endorphin, which is you get when you are, full of excitement. You're playing a video game or you're watching a TV match like yesterday, South Africa, India, and you were exciting. So again, you are dependent on the match and it is short-lived, right? Then the third one is oxytocin, which is, generated through love and affection from your kids, your spouse, your parents, your loved ones. And it is one of the best happiness feeling you can get, and everyone should have it. So oxytocin is very important. But again, you are dependent on others for that. But the last one, which is serotonin, is a very special chemical, right? Happiness chemical, because it drives your inner happiness. You are not dependent on anyone else for that happiness. And how you get it? You get it through exercising. You get it through sunlight, right? Weird things. You practice gratitude. You start giving to others. And positive thinking. But the last one is very important, which is avoiding stress, right? So if you do all these things, you generate serotonin and you basically become inner happy. And Tanu ma'am was also talking about inner self, philosophical funda of being happy. This is some different dimension chemistry. Now I again digged into a bit more detail, right? How to generate more serotonin and how to avoid stress. So how many people generally are influence of stress in universities? I didn't know, right? I was not in a lot of stress when I was studying, but I want to know how many people are in stress these days. Okay, quite a few, 50%. So here is my quick, formula. I'm about to finish. So I created my own concept, right? Called PORT, P-O-R-T, right? P stands for possessions. If you have a lot of possessions, a lot of houses, a lot of cars and everything, unless you are like Mr. Mukesh Ambani and there is someone there to manage everything, more the PORT, less is the happiness. Less the happiness, PORT is higher, right? So now I am breaking down PORT, P-O-R-T, possessions. If you have more possessions, happiness will be less. I had 3-4 houses, small investments, and I was always spending time to maintain those houses. And I was not getting time for myself. I sold all the houses, bought one, and I was getting a lot of time for myself. So clearly, make sure that you have less possessions in life as a student. Think that way right from the start and you will lead a very nice, happy life. O stands for obligation. If you are giving a lot of obligations, a lot of promises to your friends, your family, and you're not able to fulfill them, it leads to a lot of frustration. And again, a lot of stress. Avoid that. Third, R, relationships. People in the university life tends to basically create a lot of relationships, a lot of friends, right? But my advice is have friends, have relationships, but have meaningful ones. Create balance. And last but not the least, T, transactions. People who are in job or work, where there are a lot of transactions, right? I know a friend who is he's in transport and he's always on call, day in and day out, and he's in a lot of stress, right? To avoid those kind of work and workplaces where you have a lot of transactions. So make sure the PORT is less in life, your happiness will increase overall. Okay, so now the final words and conclusion. So if you think you are a startup, then you need to focus on purpose of life, right? Why you are doing it, then how, self-leadership, and you will make it. But you need to focus on the journey also while you are doing all this and being happy. And I've already told you how to be happy now, right? So lead your life in a fantastic way. This is a small framework, and thank you very much.